Catch up on all the live shows right here on africatechradio.com.
I say a big welcome to you guys. Welcome to Cruise Control with Bookie. And I'm super excited today because I love when I have conversation that is just not particular to me or to one sector, but going all around. I mean, just like breakfast, you go reach everybody. So today I'm going to be talking about what the most popular conversation in the tech space. Almost every techie is asking this question, and it's best for me to take this conversation away from the streets, away from the tech block, and bring it into the studio, and also having the conversation with me, with somebody who's been through the process. I know you're asking me, what's the question? Calm down. Yes, so someone was been through the process and also writing a book about it, and of course she's living the life. I'm talking about this popular, like, how do I land a role with the big tech companies? Most people want to work with the big four. Most people are looking at the likes of Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Flutterwave, M-Pesa, which other one? Paystar. Please help me, just filling whichever one you're side-eyeing. Today we'll be getting the nitty-gritty of how you can jump all the hurdles, or how you can just ace the interview process and land yourself a seat at the big table in the big company. Today I have Chisom Nwokwu with me. She's a software engineer, and of course she's also an author. She wrote a book on how you can land a guide into landing roles with big tech companies. Hi, Chisom.
Super nice to be here today.
Glad to have you join us, because I'm sure some itchy ears are here to just get that gist. But before I start, I would like to ask you, how is your day going and how are you feeling? I usually like to scale my day on a scale of 1 to 10. So I'm throwing that to you. How are you feeling today? Scale of 1 to 10.
I'm feeling really great. I would say let's say 7 to 8. The day is just
awesome. That's a big number. 8.
Yeah, I'm trying.
So what's making the 8 like a big 8 for you today?
Because I think I've ticked off most of the things I wanted to do today. So I think I have time to like do other stuff. So when you're productive, you're obviously very happy. So yes.
I think with this you just said now, I can share an 8 with you because I've been feeling super productive today. It's just midday and I've crossed 70% of my plans for the day. The remaining ones that's happening in the evening. And right now, this is also one of my priority for today. So I feel like an 8 also. I'm sharing that with you. Yay. So let's just delve into the conversation of the day. I know you're popularly called Tech Queen. How did that name come about?
Oh, funny question.
I like to know.
Actually, it was a while back in school. I went to the University of Nigeria. I studied computer science, and I was in my 300 level, and I wanted to take like a leadership position in my department as a director of software. So I needed, like, you know, when you're doing like all these student campaigns, you need like a catchy name where people can say, oh, I'm voting for this person, I'm voting for this person. And I just called a couple of friends and they were like, oh, why don't you go with Tech Queen for your campaign and all those other stuff. So yes, that's how Tech Queen came about. And I just went ahead to use it for like my Twitter handle and a brand name as well, sort of.
I kind of like it because most attributes with techies, especially female, you're looking at nerdy peeps, like,
oh no,
even as a lady, they'll just want you to leave your femininity behind and just act like one of the boys. And I usually like when I see a very feminine tech star.
Me too.
Yeah,
me too.
I also like the fact that you decided to put your crown on, like you're stepping into the room with your crown. Nobody can shift or move it. I love that. Such a powerful name. So let's take it a bit backward. How did your journey into tech started?
Okay, it's a bit of like a long start. I've always been interested in computers. At that time when I was little, I didn't really know it as tech, but I just knew that, okay, I love computers. I love typing. You know, there was this Mavis Beacon. There were games on like Windows Vista, your computer desktop and all that. So a little bit of backstory. My parents actually invested so well in us as their children. My dad got us like a desktop, he got us like a computer tutor. And so going through that whole process of learning about computers, I just knew that whatever career I'm doing, I didn't really know anything about careers, what I'm going to study in school at that time because I was still little. I just knew that whatever I want to do in life, I just wanted to be in front of the computer because that's where I found my joy most of the time while I was at home. And so moving forward, the computer tutor comes into like the house to teach us, and that kind of like gave me somewhat of a direction. Picking a course in university, it wasn't hard for me at all. It was between computer science and computer science. There was no medicine, there was no accounting, nothing. So I went to study computer science in school. It wasn't so practical as I would have expected, but I mean, it just gave me the ground that I needed. And so while I was in school, there was this innovation hub in school that people go to build like student startups. And when I went to that hub, I met people that were also coding at the time. And remember when I mentioned that when I was little, I knew how to use the computer, but I wasn't so introduced to programming in like a full scale, right? So going to that innovation hub, I met people that were actively coding. I met people that were excited about the computer as I was. And I just opted in for someone to teach me how to code. And the person started teaching me Android development because that was what I was interested in at that time. I didn't want to do like web development or something else. I just figured out that Android development is something that I would love to do, like creating applications that people actually use on their phones. And so that's basically how I started. I started learning Android development. Moving forward, 6 months after I started learning, I launched my first app on Play Store, which was a big thing for me. And the app currently has like 10,000 plus downloads now. So that's how I scaled into the tech space. The app gave me more confidence that I am now officially a developer that is going to grow with time. So that's just like the short version of the story, but that's how I started.
I like the fact that you said short version because Chisom's Media Kit has different version of introduction, and it's quite impressive because I took my time to go through the short, the long, even the medium, and I really enjoyed the fact that yes, it's well put together. It's encouraging for other people also to have be ready. I mean, package everything you need together. And I really, from the story you just shared with me, I heard about you talking about the massive success of the app you launched. And I'm just thinking along the journey, have you, how do I put it? You know, people encounter failure and just want to give up immediately. Maybe after a series of failing, especially when you're learning something that you're not so familiar with. You're, like you said, you didn't even really know so much about coding, but your passion was driving you. So in a situation where the drive is low, but people are still trying to get through it, how can somebody deal with failing on first
I
trial?
think in all fields of life, failure is something that's very inevitable. And failure is a huge thing, especially when it comes to like the tech industry, because the thing about the tech industry is that you're constantly learning things, and you might say, okay, I'm going to learn this technology today, and by next month, something new has come out. So there's definitely going to be a certain kind of doubt or a certain kind of feeling that you're going to fail. But moving forward, I would always advise people, go for things that you are passionate about. I know people say follow money, don't follow passion. Passion will not feed you. But at the end of the day, if you're passionate about something, you can make even more money than something that pays. I don't know if I'm putting it right, but I was really passionate about Android development. I just love the fact that people can download an application and it can scale to like 1 billion users. So the fact that you're seeing your product on people's phones is something that excites me, and that's why I went for Android development. And even when I went through a series of failures, I just knew that, okay, Chisom, at the end of the day, you're going to be a very good Android developer. You're going to develop products that will scale on different platforms. So you just have to put your head down and do this thing. So failure is definitely going to come. But I would say, number one, go for something that you're passionate about. And number two, try to take breaks as well. No matter how much you learn, no matter how much you feel that you're into what you're doing, try to give yourself breaks to like refresh yourself and then come back to the grind. But failure is inevitable, but you do not need to stay in that spot for a long time.
Yeah. So beyond dealing with failure, personally, how do you find inspiration? Because I know coding sometimes could be, I don't want to say long, tedious. So how do you find inspiration to keep going?
I think inspiration. I think I am at number one. I'm at a company that is like at the forefront of innovation. When you talk about like technology, technological advancement, when you talk about artificial intelligence. So when you're seeing all this very nice stuff happening abroad, you just know that you're in that field, you're in that space, you're part of the people that are creating innovative technologies, innovative products. So when you look beyond what you're working on, when you look beyond the code, because coding can be very vague. Most times you're coding and you don't actually know what you're coding for. But when you look beyond all that, you see that your work actually has impact in the way the world is advancing, in artificial intelligence, in machine learning, in so many things, in products that people are building. So I think seeing all that would inspire you. Knowing that you're at the forefront of that innovation is inspiring as well. And other things would be, I look up to people. I have so many people I look up to. I don't start mentioning names, but I have so many people I look up to. They're doing amazing things as well, and they are impacting people through technology. So those two things is what I would say inspires me.
You talked about like the company you work for, which is honestly like the bone of contention for today. We're looking at how you got yourself a space in the big company like Microsoft, because most people usually they have their eyes on like 4 big companies or 5, and you were able to secure one. I'm sure that so many people will be looking at you and be like, how did she get it? I want what she's getting. Please, can you serve me what she's having, please? So how did you get through the doors and securing yourself a space or a chair?
So how can you position yourself for these opportunities? I would say be in a place where you are, first of all, aware that these opportunities exist. Check your circle of friends, check the people that you are close to, make sure that you're close to people that are very much aware, and make sure that you're not staying so far from the internet. The internet has a lot of opportunities that people haven't harnessed yet. Make sure that you're doing the right research. So once you've seen yourself in that position, you know that these opportunities exist. The next thing is, how do I get in? How do I start applying? What do these people need, right? So you're checking the requirements for these positions. And I would speak for myself. The position I went for was actually a graduate role. It wasn't an experienced role, because left for me, I was still in school. I didn't have experience. So I knew that graduate roles exist. That's why I applied for graduate roles. If I didn't know that graduate roles didn't exist, I would have gone for more experienced roles, and I would have ended up being rejected because I do not have the experience needed for those roles. So the first thing is knowing that the right opportunities for you exist. So for graduate roles, they're not looking for people that have worked for 5 years. They're looking for students that have done amazing things. They're looking for students that have taken up leadership positions. They're looking for students that have done some kind of teamwork, team collaborations. They're looking for students that don't necessarily have academic excellence, but at least you're good. At least your CGPA is okay. And they're also looking for students that don't really have work experience, but you've worked on projects with your classmates. I'm being very realistic here. You've worked on projects with your classmates. Your final year project is stable, is something that can scale, and a bunch of all this other stuff. So once you've gotten your requirements laid out, the next thing now is, how do I start preparing for their interviews? What do these people want me to know? So companies differ in terms of like interviews. We have technical interviews where they ask you things that have to do with like your technical prowess, your data structures and algorithms, the programming language that you know in the most basic form. They're going to test your algorithm knowledge as well, because these are tech companies. These things are inevitable. Secondly, your behavioral interviews. They want to know how you would fit into like an office structure, how you fit into like the work culture of a company. Can you collaborate with people very well? Are you a good communicator? Are you someone that likes working alone rather than collaborating with others? how can you handle conflict? So they're asking you all those questions to make sure that you're the best person that they can work with. So once that is done, you're going to do several phone call interviews, and a bunch of other stuff is going to actually ascertain if you're going to get accepted by these companies. But most importantly, I would say always spice up your interviews. Always put yourself out there. Put yourself out there as someone that is unique. As much as the company is interviewing you, try to research about the company and also interview them as well. So this way they see that you've done your research and you're asking very vivid questions on how work life is at that company. It shows that you're interested in that role. So it's a bunch of things, right? Your resume, your technical interview skills, your behavioral interview skills. Some companies do system design as well. I don't want to go deep into the requirements, but it's a bunch of all these things. So I would say start by knowing these opportunities exist, start by knowing the requirements, and just scale up from there. You would definitely get a hang of it moving forward.
That's really short.
Crafting a resume as a student is somewhat very limiting because you're asking yourself, I don't have experience, what do I put in? So I feel like for anybody listening to this radio station and you're in your first year or in your second year, that's actually the best time to start filling up your resume. So some people actually wait till they're almost done with school, and before you know it, you've just realized that you have nothing to put on your resume. So I would first of all start by saying start early enough from your first year, know the things that should be on a resume, and start going for them on time. Now, in your second year in school or in your third year in school, you're going to be doing a lot of internships, industrial training, right? That is the opportunity you have to gain experience. That is where you have to be very intentional about the type of company you're working for and the kind of responsibilities they're going to give you. So your resume has different sections, right? There's the experience tab, there's the skills tab, there's the projects tab, and there's the educational tab as well. So once you're done crafting out your experience, this experience is going to come from your industrial training. The experience is also going to come from your classroom projects. It doesn't matter how small, it just depends on how you put it out for people to read. So in terms of skills, your soft skills as well should be there, your communication skills, your collaboration skills, teamwork, time management, those things that is expected of a graduate level person. And then your technology skills as well. Did you go to school to just learn computer science? Did you build projects while you were in school? Did you learn a programming language while you're in school? So all those skills will come to play in that section. Then in terms of projects, even if you haven't built a project, your class projects can surface. I think for computer science, engineering, there are certain points where they will group people into groups and just tell you projects to work on. Those are research projects. Those things should be on your resume. So what I mean is that if you're not so intentional about these things, you would leave out all these things till you're in your final year, and most of the time you can't even remember everything that you've worked on in school as a student. So it's best to start crafting it out from your first year at least. Then for education, you can now add like things like your CGPA, the courses that you've done very well in and probably received recognition, your awards and all that. Then something I failed to mention was leadership experience. Experience as a leader can also count. When have you led a class team? Did you take a position in your department as someone part of like the board of directors as per students, right? Did you take a position in your department? Did you take a position as like an SUG personnel in your university? Those things actually count. But as much as you're adding all these things, only add the things that are relevant to your field, your tech field. I've seen some people adding things like head of fellowship in so and so.
Really?
Head of fellowship so and so church. That doesn't add up. There's no link, right? So if you worked as a director of software, that connects to technology. If you are the president of the National Association of Computer Science Students, that also has a link to technology. So as much as you're looking for things to add, make sure it aligns with the field or with the course that you study. So putting all these things together early enough would really help you have a very solid resume by the time you're in your third year or even your first semester 400 level.
I really like the fact that you touched on based on people still in school. Because I don't know, this I do this show every time, and I have vast people in mind, like from age range, even the position they are in life right now. And I like the fact that you're touching on people who are still undergraduate, and also you've touched on people who are early graduate. So I'm just thinking of people who have graduated over a long period of time, and they're probably just thinking of switching right now. They've probably gone through boot camps, they've done training, they've tried to acquire a tech skill. How do you advise they position their CV? And most of them don't have these leadership roles. They've not been involved in being head of science department, science team, building a project, that even if it was small. So what do you advise that they fill up the gaps?
Yeah, I think I've had that kind of concern from people. When I speak like this, people are like, oh, Chisom, what about us? What about us that just start on time?
Don't forget us.
So I feel like it's never too late to actually make a very impactful change in your career. It's never too late. So I would say that on your resume, I figure that something has to stand out on your resume. And resumes are very different. Resumes are very diverse. I can pick up someone's resume and what's standing out is the kind of technological awards that they've gotten. I can pick up another person's resume and what stands out for me is the experience. I can pick up someone else's resume and see that, okay, this person had a very high CGPA, or this person had a huge project. So for those kind of people, I would say what should stand out on your resume should be your projects. You might not have experience, you might not have leadership positions that you filled in, you might not even have a good CGPA, and pointing out that you might not even have studied computer science or electrical engineering. But I'm saying put things that can overshadow all those odds, right? Work on projects that can overshadow things. I've seen people that study things like microbiology, but
so you were talking about, I mean, that's the vision. I can't wait for when I can just walk about and tap my hands and I have internet.
I can't do.
I think that's something that I should ask you before we. So you were talking about
more projects, collaborating with people to build projects. So if it's something you cannot work on your own, or if it's something that you cannot figure out on your own, collaborate with other people and form like a team and just scale this project all the way up. And it's something that you can add to your resume. You can list out the things that you did and how you contributed to that project and the result of the project as well. Where is the project now? Is it hosted? Are people using it? Is it solving a certain kind of problem? Might not be too big, but at least is it being impactful in a certain kind of way? Employers look out for that a lot. I would say a portfolio site, a site where people can see all that you have done, a site where people can visit and say, okay, I would know everything about this person once I'm done seeing this site. So what you do, the amount of experience you have, if you have any, but most importantly, the projects that you've worked on, try to display it on that site. I know people want to see the GitHub code and all that, but at the same time, people want to see how this project looks like, what you've been able to do. So if you have like a repository or a personal portfolio where you can showcase all these things, showcase your soft skills as well, showcase all your accomplishments in the industry, no matter how small. I keep telling people it doesn't have to be something big, but have a personal portfolio. It shows that you're intentional with the kind of career you want to build and yourself or your brand as a person.
Tech queen. I have to be restating that. Some people know the word is coming from the throne, and she's been someone who has sat with great people in great offices. Going to throw this question to you directly. How did you feel sitting in that big room? What was your first day experience like? I'm going to act like I've not stalked you on IG. No, there's something about me. Once I perceive, smell that this person is just something in tech, I'm like, please rub on me. Let me see. I love success stories. I love people trying. I love people. I didn't even know my colleague has had you on a conversation before. Yeah. I legit just went on social media sniffing around and I found you and I'm like, no, I have to have this girl. So I've sent some messages. Then it was later still going down your page. I'm like, oh, Anthony beats me to this, but I'm still going to have it. So thank you for your time though. So back to the question, how did you feel in the first day till now? What's the experience been like time?
I would say my first day was very overwhelming. I didn't even believe that day could come. Like, I woke up in the morning and I was like, oh my God, it's my first day.
Did you prepare? You know, like when we were in secondary school, especially primary school, you pack your sandal, your new shoes, your new uniform, you arrange everything, school bag. Did you pack like your handbag? Please tell me everything about it.
I set everything. I set out the shoes I'm going to wear, the outfit, my handbag. I made sure my phone was charged. In fact, everything was set and ready the night before. And in the morning, I was so excited. I think I woke up about 3 hours before I was even meant to leave to the office.
Did you still wake up 3 hours to go to work?
No. But yeah, it was amazing. I remember when I was getting ready in my room, I felt overwhelmed. I felt like this wasn't meant to be happening. Everything was so good. Everything was so nice. Like, looking back, because I just literally left school months ago, and I was already moving on to this next phase. So it was really overwhelming for me. And even till now, there's this thing we say in the tech industry, when imposter syndrome comes to wipe you off and all that. So it has come like a few times, and most of the time I'm asking myself, Chisom, are you sure you're meant to be here? Are you sure this people didn't make a mistake? So you have those doubts that you might not be the right person, you might not feel enough. But I feel like the kind of things I've been able to do, I have grown the past year. I think it's getting to 2 years now by November. I have grown as a person, I've grown as an engineer, I've grown as a team player, and so many other parts of my life has grown as well. So it still gives me jitters till today. I would lie, but
I mean, Microsoft, who wouldn't? App that was measuring my menstrual cycle. What app did you build? Health tracker. Please, what else? Money, finance. What was it?
I built a language learning application, and I'm Igbo, so it obviously had to be Igbo language. So it's like an application where you can learn Igbo at the beginner level. You can be familiar with some Igbo words. So this is something that parents can download for their kids. This is something that people that are not Igbo can also check out as well. And this is something that you can just download to familiarize yourself with that, like the Igbo language. So that was the app. It gave me a lot of exposure in terms of developing and also deploying as well. But the feedback I've received shows that it's making a lot of impact, which I like. So yes.
Awesome. I can remember my struggle with trying to learn French. Yeah,
like single but for Igbo.
Yeah, so mainly you were saying it, I was just picturing, because I love language. Love. Like, even if I can't speak, I just want to connect with somebody and know I feel like just it gets you close to people culturally.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
And being African language, super amazing.
Yes.
I remember Microsoft also having some languages being input into their assistant for my mother on the line, because she's stressing me. So if I have like Siri speaking Yoruba to her, that would be fantastic, because she would stop calling me odd hours of the day or night to ask me some very basic question. So that's really good. So on this note, I'm going to wrap this up with this particular question. It's going to be like a twin one. I usually ask people what they would like to see Africa become generally.
Okay. I think Africa is still developing. We still have a long way to go, but I feel like we have done, I wouldn't call it the barest minimum, but we're making some kind of progress. I would want to see Africa using technology as a tool to complement or to, like, I want to see Africa integrate technology into the kind of problems that we're facing. Let's talk about electricity, for instance. Things like unemployment, things like hunger, and all those stuff. So Africa is a continent that can move forward in that manner by using technology to address the problems. Because I feel like when those problems are set aside, we have more time and we have more bandwidth to think as human beings. We are not hungry. We're not looking for lights. We're not looking for laptops, or we're not looking for cellular devices. We have all those things. So first of all, addressing the problems that exist first, then we can now put our workforce in a steady trajectory to integrate technology into our growth. And so technology as a whole, the last question that you mentioned, is something that's changing. It's something that's changing the dynamics of so many things. So I feel like technology is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It's only going to get better. And for anybody listening to me, try as much as possible to utilize the skills needed to be at the forefront of this innovation. I'm not saying you should be a tech person. I'm not saying you should be a software engineer. All I'm saying is whatever you're doing, have a growth mindset. Don't say that, okay, I already know this thing, I'm not going to learn any other thing. Try to see if you can infuse technology in your business, in your startup, in your fashion industry, the entertainment industry. Try to grow with the trend. Don't be left behind, because obviously people are going to leave you behind. So don't be too fixated on the things that you know, but try to expand your knowledge. Whatever you're doing, try to build amazing things, but still have technology infused in whatever you're learning. And with that, you'll never be outdated at all. So yeah.
I think I would not do myself justice on this show if I let you leave without talking about your book, because I'm going to not sleep well for days, and this is how I work. If I miss out any important question, I feel like I can't really get my guests. They're always very busy, so I don't want you to leave without talking about your amazing book that you wrote. What drove you into writing about how techies can come into the... Because some people just get the job and mind their business. They don't really care about helping others. And what was the process like for you? And how has the sale been like, the acceptance of the book? Everything, just tell me.
So I feel like for most people, I'm the kind of person that would get into a room and leave the door open for others. I will not only leave the door open, I will drag you inside that room. So I'm not one person to gatekeep. I'm not one person to say this information is secluded for only my friends or for only my circle. If I find something very good, or if I experience something good, I'll love to share it with people. And I have a lot of following on Twitter as well. My followers can testify to that. And so this book was a way for me to make people aware that these opportunities exist, right? You see people posting acceptance positions from Google, from Amazon, and you read the comments and you're like, how did you get this? Did you school abroad? Did you
are your parents rich? Are they connected?
They're connected. So, and that's not the case. These things don't work like that. So that's how the book came about. I think when I announced my role, I got a lot of messages. Chisom, how did you do it? What's the timeline like? A lot. Thousands of messages on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on WhatsApp. Everybody was asking. And I saw myself hosting one-on-one calls, hosting Google Meets to just enlighten people. But that wasn't enough, right? The questions kept on coming. And so I realized that these questions had a certain pattern. How did you prepare for interviews? What did you start doing when you were in school? How did you negotiate and all that? And when I saw that these things had a pattern, I'm like, okay, why don't you start like maybe a YouTube series or an article series? And when I started drafting out the content for these, for maybe the YouTube series or article series, I noticed that this thing was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm like, okay, let me write a book, which was one of the wildest things I have done in my life. Just getting up and saying, oh, let me be an author. And I just started writing, and this book flowed from within. I didn't do like so much research because this was something I have done. So this was a very personal book. Sometimes I will refer to it as my diary, my job diary for people. And so the writing process began. I got feedback from people asking them their pain points in applying or even getting these opportunities. And I just infused all of that into the book. I even went as far as contacting most of my friends that are abroad now that work for Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, mentioning those big tech companies. I asked them, okay, can you come contribute to the book? Can you share your story as well and make the book more vivid, more realistic? And I made sure that they were all Nigerians. Not only Nigerians, I made sure that they added their university to that book. So you're seeing University of Lagos, you're seeing OAU, you're seeing things that you can relate with. And so when everything was complete, I self-published. I just did most of the things myself, and I moved it over to like the publisher to do the printing. And I mean, when the book launched, so many people were getting copies, hard copies, ebooks. So many people were sponsoring tens, thousands of copies for people so that they could just get aware that they can actually do this thing. And I mean, so far so good. I've been very thankful to God, first of all, for giving me that kind of idea and also giving me the strength to scale it till the end. is one of the toughest things I've done, I think. But I'm really happy I took that leap of faith, and I'm so happy about the stories I've heard from the book. It might not actually be so many people getting these international jobs, but from the point of like them branding themselves, them branding their LinkedIn, their resume, knowing how to negotiate offers, knowing how to prepare for interviews, that impact alone is something that I'm so happy about. So that's the short form of the journey.
I'm just about to, so for people who want to get that light from you, how can they lay their hand?
Okay, so the book is currently at 3 locations. You can get the ebook and the hard copy from seller.com. You can get the hard copy delivered to you at home, or you can purchase the ebook. The second location is at Roven Heights. The book is physically available at Roven Heights. I think they have store branches in Surulere and Abuja. You can also get the book from Amazon if you're buying from outside of Nigeria. That's the international audience. So for now, it's available at those 2 locations.
Okay, I like that though, but one thing I love more is giveaways. So I want to put you on the hot seat. I know some people are listening, and it's after listening to give these. Would you like to give back through this channel platform?
Yes, sure. I would love to. For people listening, of course.
Okay, Tony, you can get on that. Tony will definitely. Tony is your person, so yes.
Yes, reach out.
Thank you so much, Chisom. You're such a fantastic guest. Oh, I feel like this conversation should not end. I can't wait to bring you back because you hammered on negotiation, but that would be conversation for some other day. Yeah. I would have asked you about networking, but we had an interview on networking. So for those people looking around networking, get the book. She has everything, even the salary negotiation part I'm supposed to bring her on next time. You can just get ahead of us and read it and be enlightened and go into the world and prosper. Yes.
Yeah.
So any last word you'd like to leave us with? Share your light with us. So I'm ready to turn up.
I would say don't be scared of doing what you feel like you're going to excel in. And nobody is meant to be in a space or in a room more than you. Like, nobody is better than you to be in that particular position. So if there's something you've always had in mind to do, it might be a company, it might be building something, it might be learning a skill, you are in the best position to start. And today is the next best time to start, right? So even if you're not learning a tech skill, or even if you're not coming into the tech space, just try to learn at least one technical skill and just see how it's going to change the dynamics of your growth in the coming years. So yes, thank you.
Social media handle for those who would like to connect.
So I'm very active on Twitter. My handle is TechQueen, tech_queen, all small letters. I'm also very active on YouTube. I'm a content creator as well. You can find me on YouTube at Chisom Nwokwu. LinkedIn is Chisom C Nwokwu, and Instagram is Chisom_NW. So yes, those are my 4 platforms.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to catch up on all the live shows right here on africatechradio.com.